Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Phil Sanchez. Thank you for joining us on this final Sunday of 2020. It's been a political year like few others in memory. It started with Mayor Joe Hogsett starting his second term and ended with two Indiana natives taking key roles in a Biden administration, and in between a series of events that we've never seen before.
January 1st, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett takes the oath of office to start his second four-year term.
We've had an increase in the number of homicides in Indianapolis for the last 10 years. I'm pleased to report that in 2019, for the very first time in 10 years, homicides are going down. So while we're not declaring victory, we're going to keep our foot to the accelerator. At least the numbers are trending in the right direction.
Later that month, the nation's third ever impeachment trial of a president begins in the Senate.
The Senate will now hear you.
Democrats calling for President Trump's removal for abuse of power and obstruction of justice. Republicans calling the case flimsy and politically motivated.
I've heard that the case is overwhelming, that they've made the case, and maybe they should have thought about that before they brought it over.
The final vote by senators on February 5th.
It is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said Donald John Trump be, and he is hereby, acquitted of the charges in said articles.
That same week, former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg pulls off a stunner, winning the Iowa Democratic Presidential Caucus. Less than 1 month later, March 1st.
I will no longer seek to be the 2020 Democratic nominee for president.
Instead, throwing his support to former Vice President Joe Biden. The coronavirus pandemic would then lead to a statewide shutdown here in Indiana and force the state's primary election to be delayed for the first time ever.
My view on that fast approaching primary election is it needed to be pushed back in order to, again, ensure the safety of our county employees, our poll workers, and the voters themselves.
Voting moved to June 2nd, with every Hoosier given the option to vote by mail. The virus also forced Democrats and Republicans to move their state conventions virtual, and another first, hold them live here on Wish TV.
Welcome to our 2020 State Convention preview. My name is John Zodi, and I'm proud to be the chair of your Indiana Democratic Party. I'd like to start by thanking our partners at Wish TV for the opportunity to beam this convention preview into homes across Indiana.
Look, I'm not perfect. No one is. But like President Trump, I have faced accusations and investigations designed to destroy me politically. Like President Trump, I'm a threat to Democrats and their radical liberal agenda.
The national political parties would follow with virtual conventions to formally nominate Joe Biden and Donald Trump for the general election.
Now, from Wish TV.
In September, Wish TV launched All Indiana Politics, the state's premier show on politics, starting with the three candidates for governor.
You don't control this virus. I've said this time and time again that the virus doesn't know boundaries. What it knows is respect for it.
If that is the case and medical experts are recommending another stay-at-home order, is that something you would be open to?
Yes, it would be. We give them the ability to choose for themselves whether they want to sign up to serve in our armed forces. But then we tell them they're not old enough to choose whether they smoke, drink, or consume cannabis. I believe that's inconsistent.
Early voting began in October, with more than 1.8 million Hoosiers casting a ballot before Election Day. And for the first time, more than 3 million ballots cast in an election. Governor Eric Holcomb would win re-election easily. It would be 4 more days before vote counts in Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Nevada would lead to projections of Joe Biden as the next president of the United States.
I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you've placed in me. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify.
I may be the first woman in this office. I will not be the last.
And another month before top GOP leaders would acknowledge the win, and the president-elect selecting 2 Hoosiers to help run his administration. Ron Klain, a North Central graduate, as his chief of staff, and Pete Buttigieg for transportation secretary, who, if confirmed, would be the first Senate-confirmed openly gay cabinet secretary.
It's been a big year, and you can see our full year-end special airs tomorrow night at 9 o'clock right here on Wish TV. All right, coming up, the best and worst of 2020 in politics in Indiana. Our political experts give their answers next on All Indiana Politics. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics. We're joined this week by two of our favorites, Republican Whitley Yates and Democrat Drew Anderson. Good to see you both. And we want to start by looking back at 2020, guys. Whitley, we promised you the first question after you were with us last time. So let's start with this. What's the key top moment for Indiana Republicans this past year?
Well, I think the biggest surprise for the GOP was holding Congressional District 5 and the AG's office. We also secured the supermajority in the Senate and expanded the supermajority in the House. And there was rhetoric that all of these seats were at risk and that there was some potential to us losing them, but we won, and we won comfortably. So I think that that was the biggest moment for our party this year.
Drew, for Democrats.
I think it was electing Fadi Kadora to the Indiana Senate. As folks may not know, he is the first Muslim Hoosier to be elected to the General Assembly. And it just shows once again that Democrats double down on making sure that all diverse voices are included in this process.
Who's the biggest winner for Republicans, Whitley?
I would have to say Victoria Sparks.
Why?
I think that she was underestimated and people counted her out, and she came through and showed more than just Hoosiers, but people who immigrate here from other countries, that there is a possibility that you come here, you work hard, and are able to secure a congressional seat. I think that her story and what she was able to accomplish, her hard work, is definitely inspiring for people.
Drew, was that a disappointment for Democrats to not win that seat?
I mean, I think overall, outside of Biden crushing it at the top ticket, I think this year really showed Democrats in Indiana what we need to do to meet folks where they are and to be successful down the road. And that said, though, Fadi Kadora and Mitch Gore were able to win in this state, and it shows that diversity and a law enforcement officer can be winning candidates within the Democratic Party.
And to your point, Drew, Hamilton County, from a local perspective, did get a lot more Democratic votes this year than years past, right?
It did, and I think it provided a little bit of foreshadowing on what we're going to be looking to do with the state party in the next couple of years. We're definitely going to double down when it comes to our investment in Hamilton County and Central Indiana, as well as the rest of the state. Let's be real. It's 92 counties. We need to make sure we play everywhere. But I think considering the fact that Hamilton County was such a GOP stronghold, the fact that we are making inroads there is definitely noteworthy.
So same question that I started with Whitley, Drew, your biggest winner for Democrats and I guess the worst year among Indiana Republicans in your opinion. Go.
I think the biggest win for Democrats, like I said before, Fadi Kadora in Indiana and also Joe Biden nationally. And it's just because we needed to make sure that Americans and Hoosiers knew that decency should win out. And that's why Joe Biden won. And when it comes to the Republican Party, I mean, the fact that Donald Trump, an incumbent president, lost, hopefully it's a wake-up call to folks for us to steer away from our corners and to meet each other in the middle again to have some conversations.
Whitley, 2020, in your opinion, what was the worst for what Democrat?
What was the worst for the Democrat?
Yeah, which Democrat had the worst year in your opinion?
I would say the entire Indiana Democratic Party institution. I think that, unfortunately, what we've been able to see is they aren't producing good gubernatorial candidates and running good statewide campaigns. They don't have the support of Hoosiers at the ballot box, and they're almost turning into a fringe party.
Drew, your response?
That's really hyperbolic and arrogant, in my opinion, of my friend over there to say that. I will say that we just happened to struggle this year just because of some dynamics that were out of control when it comes to state political office. It happened to us 4 years ago too, because let's just be real, Donald Trump really did carry the state, and it really torched us down ticket. And when that kind of national, rhetoric heats up, it really does kind of take out any sort of compromise and middle ground that Indiana Democrats are so proud to do and to work with Republicans.
We have some time, guys. So you brought up a really good point there, Drew. Looking at the presidential race, is the campaign that we saw in 2020 with so much division and noise on social media, do you think that's the new normal for national campaigns?
God, I hope not. And it's just because, I was fortunate enough to work on Obama's reelect in 2012 in Chicago, and I got a glimpse of that. And when we were there, we definitely weren't that kind of arrogant, rude, and kind of divisive when it came to how we delivered our message. I think that is just a symptom of who was at the top of the ticket for the Republicans. And I really hope that now that guy's out, that we all take a breath, simmer down, and realize that we have a lot more in common than what we have, not in common. So,
Whitley, to Drew's point, is this the Republican Party, speaking of the Republican Party, is this Donald Trump's party now?
I wouldn't call it his party, right? I think the Republican Party has had a strong hold and leadership in the United States since the Whigs, right? And so I don't see the party faltering at all. But what I will say about messaging and social media, I think that the campaign of tomorrow is not the one that happens every 4 years, but the one that's happening every day. In policy and meeting people and connecting with your constituents. I think that bringing social media into the mix allows you a direct line to your constituents. And so I do see social media playing a big role in the future for all campaigns.
Good conversation. Whitley, Drew, stay with us. Up next, we want to look ahead to 2021, including what lies ahead for President Biden. That's next on All Indiana Politics. And welcome back to All Indiana Politics with Democrat Drew Anderson and Republican Whitley Yates. Let's look ahead, guys, now to 2021. And I think we start with Washington, Drew. What happens in D.C.? This is a kind of a three-part question. Is it a stalemate between the White House and Senate? Do we see more working together? And does the president get his cabinet picks approved?
I really hope Washington finally gets it together. And I really think that this divided government is going to be a good thing for us. It's going to be a blessing in disguise for actually both parties. And I think it's going to be a good opportunity for the moderates in the Senate and on the House side to really come through and show what compromise really looks like and what getting stuff done really looks like. And so I think when it comes to nominees, what you said, Phil, I think someone like Pete Buttigieg, who, again, he not only is making Indiana proud, but he's making LGBTQ Americans proud across the country. And someone like him, he is going to be confirmed because of those moderates who want to actually get us working again.
Your thoughts, Whitley?
I would agree. I think that right now, where we are and where this country is in the middle of the pandemic, that it would be impressed upon Congress to really begin to push the country forward and do what is necessary to protect all Americans. And while I don't necessarily agree with the policy points of Mr. Pete, what I will say is it is good to have Hoosiers leading top offices in D.C.
Drew, I have to ask you, you brought up Mayor Pete, right? What about Richard Grinnell?
Here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Rick Grinnell, and I'm speaking from personal experience, he's a divisive person who decides to really invoke the Trumpisms and divisiveness that has really plagued us over the last couple of years. And personally speaking, when I was in New York working for GLAAD, he made it a point to make sure to bully organizations like that when he disagreed with them. And that's not what should happen when it comes to public officials. And he knows better. And that's why I'm happy that someone like Pete is going to kind of wipe away that kind of image that he brought he tried to bring to the community.
Whitley, do you think, though, that Grinnell's getting overshadowed here and not maybe getting some credit for what he's done?
Absolutely not. I don't think that what we should do is pit LGBTQ people against each other in some weird oppression Olympics for how far that they've come. I think that they both have things that they can offer that are great, and we will see with Pete potentially being DOT, Secretary of Department of Transportation, where he goes.
Yeah. So will there be an electoral college challenge, in your opinion, Drew?
No, it's already been decided. It was decided this week. And any Republican that still tries to say that the Constitution and American democracy doesn't matter, they're doing it at their own peril, because America's decided and the adults in the room are moving on. And I recommend that they do as well.
Whitley?
I think the Electoral College has spoken, and Republicans respect the process in the Electoral College.
Let's bring it back to Indiana, guys. What happens with the legislature, right? Will there be a teacher pay raise? Whitley?
I believe so. This week, Holcomb unveiled his agenda and is again focusing on issues that matter to Hoosiers, which there are 5 pillars, including police reform, equity issues, and education. So I do believe that that will be something that the legislature focuses on this year.
Drew, your thoughts?
I mean, I also read the governor's agenda, and it included not actually specifically advocating for public education. Sure, he called for, fully funding education, but not public education, which continues to be the actual, problems that are happening in our education system. Teacher pay should be raised, and the governor should actually install some protections for Hoosiers when it comes to COVID-19, because right now he's just kind of sitting on the sideline and saying everything's on fire, but not doing anything about it.
Drew, what is the number one topic in this session, though, in your opinion?
It's going to be COVID, first off, because we need to get back to some sort of normalcy, and we need to actually get going again. So COVID's going to be number one, followed by education.
Whitley?
I totally agree. I think that right now the most important thing impressing upon Hoosiers is the pandemic, getting that under control, and as well as our educational system.
Whitley, how do you respond when they say that the governor's not doing enough?
Yeah, I find that interesting, because the same people that say he isn't doing enough say that he oversteps his bounds. So it's an interesting dichotomy. What I will say is we've had strong leadership from Governor Holcomb from the beginning of the pandemic through right now. And instead of overreaching as we head into session, he is impressed upon the local mayors to do what is best for their towns. So if your mayor that is elected is not doing what you deem to be appropriate in that position of leadership, then he should be hearing from you, or they should be hearing from you.
30-second response. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. Governor Holcomb has taken his cues from the White House, which news reports just this week, revealed that the White House actually was trying to endorse herd immunity across this country. And so the fact that Governor Holcomb took his cues from them, as opposed to looking at the facts on the ground that he claims to use, it shows that he always, time and again, puts his politics before actual data, and that's why Indiana is on fire right now.
Whitley, go ahead.
I mean, come on, Drew. Facts over feelings. The truth of the matter is Governor Holcomb has done everything in his power to make sure that Hoosiers are staying safe. And while, yes, he did say we are on fire, we have the leadership needed to head into 2021 and to make gains towards getting this under control. It's not about where he's taking cues. And if you know what cues the governor's getting from the White House, Drew, I would be interested to see them.
All right, guys.
Telegraphed it.
We'll leave it right there. Happy New Year, guys. Always good to see you. I love you both, Drew, Whitley. We'll see you soon.
Happy New Year. Love you guys.
See ya. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics on this Sunday. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. Set to talk with Governor Everett Holcomb. If you missed any part of today's show or want to forward it to a friend, it's posted on our Wish TV Facebook page and our website, wishtv.com. Have a great rest of your weekend.